standing by. Currently, all participants are in a listen-only mode for the duration of today's webinar. Today's call is being recorded. If you have any objections, you may disconnect at this time. I would now like to turn the call over to your host, Stacy from the U.S. Census Bureau. Stacy, you may begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on the exploration of income, poverty, and educational census data for Black and white populations. My name is Stacy Cocker-McNeil, and I'm a data dissemination specialist here at the U.S. Census Bureau. I want to thank you for joining us today for the Exploring the Diversity of Census Bureau Data webinar series. This new series, created by the Census Academy team here at the Census Bureau, is meant to assist the novice to intermediate data user. These webinars are a great opportunity for you to learn from our experts about how to access the Census Bureau data, tools, and resources. If you wish to follow along, please take a moment now to open an additional browser. You can register for any of the webinars by visiting census.gov/academy. Before I introduce today's speaker, let's go over a few important housekeeping rules. As mentioned earlier, this webinar is being recorded. For your convenience, it will be uploaded to our Census Academy site with all supplemental materials relating to the webinar within 30 business days. We welcome written questions during the webinar. Please submit your written questions using the QA panel, which is at the bottom center or the right side of your WebEx screen. Please take a moment to locate that now. Once you've found the QA panel, make sure you choose all panelists from the drop-down menu. This will ensure we see your question. Also, we ask that you do not include any personal or business identifiable information with your questions. We suggest keeping the chat panel open as we provide key links and other resources throughout the webinar. Keep in mind, you won't be able to respond to the chat. That is for us to send out links and other resources related to the presentation. In the chat box, we will be sharing the evaluation link. We are very interested in hearing from you on how we are doing. To complete the evaluation, please click on the link on the white redirect screen for completing the survey. We hope you'll take the time to complete this as we strive to perfect what training we offer. My colleagues, Kim Brown and Mac Treese and myself will be monitoring the QA panel. As time allows, we will answer your question directly through the QA panel, or we will share your question with the presenter to respond to during the webinar. If we do not get to all the questions with the response during the webinar, we will post the questions and responses with the webinar materials on the census.gov/academy site within 30 days. As you know, we are in a virtual environment, and sometimes technical difficulties might occur. If you are having issues, try a different browser such as Chrome, or consider logging out and coming back into the session. If you are having audio issues, try selecting the computer audio or calling into the webinar via phone. Now, I would like to introduce our speakers, Meredith Maxwell and Amy Brombos. Thank you so much for being here today, and Meredith, you may begin.
Thank you, Stacey. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on the exploration of income, poverty, and educational census data for Black and white populations. As Stacey aforementioned, I'm Meredith Maxwell, Data Dissemination Specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau, and I'm also joined by my colleague, Amy Brombos. Here's a little bit about us quickly. I've been with the Bureau on and off in various capacities since 2008. First landed in the Community Partnership and Engagement Program, working in the LA region, and then again in 2018 as a coordinator for that same region. Now, for Dr. Amy Brombos, she also began her federal service during the decennial operations, but on the opposite coast. Amy covers New York State and specializes in educational outreach and data use for academic grant writing, research, accreditation, and strategic planning in both K-12 and institutions of higher education. All right, our objectives for today. is to assist two data users in locating the information they need for a community education initiative and a federal education grant. Angela wants to initiate interventions to improve academic attainment in states most in need. She is requesting access to data relative to educational attainment, first by sex and then by race. And then in our second scenario, we'll have Frank, who is responsible for Florida's Title I grant application. He needs a wide variety of demographic, housing, language, poverty, and academic data by school district. Based on these requests, we will be accessing American Community Survey data from two different tools, which will be data.census.gov and SAPI. My colleague Amy and I will demonstrate these census data tools to access multiple data sets based on the variables introduced by our clients. Amy will also illustrate how you can utilize the mapping tool to view your search by topic or geography. Now we're just going to move on to a few basics quickly on the American Community Survey and SAPI. The American Community Survey, or ACS, is our best choice for data for Angela and Frank for a few reasons. First, because of the frequency in which data are collected and released, which for the ACS can be annually. Second, because of the volume of households that receive and respond to this survey, approximately 3.5 million addresses. And third, because the survey asks detailed questions covering 40 plus topics, including housing, economics, and household social and demographic characteristics. The range of topics collected by the ACS are organized under 4 different categories. Those categories are demographic, social, housing, and economic characteristics. These tables summarize the content collected from ACS surveys and are a great place to start, especially for new users unsure what data we have to offer. These data can be found in 1-year and 5-year estimates, as well as percentages. Now, our clients, Angela and Frank, are searching for data relative to topics in 3 of these categories. As relatively new data users, we might guide them on the data profile, or what we call DP tables, generated for the categories of interest, such as DP02, DP03, and DP05. There is a 4th DP table, DP04, but our clients will not need those data or that particular data table on housing characteristics, so we did not include that table summary here. There are many geographic concepts to consider when searching in DCG or data.census.gov. Most geographies nest neatly within larger geography spaces, such as census tracts, nesting in counties, counties nesting in states, and of course, states nesting within the nation. Occasionally, you may need to search for geographies that do not abide by a universal rule nationwide. Today, we will encounter this when searching for data by school district. School districts are not organized the same geographically nationwide. In New York State, for instance, you can see that many school districts can be found within the county boundaries of Erie. Yet some flow outside of this boundary and share space with surrounding counties. Mid-Atlantic and southern states generally abide by the county boundaries for school districts. However, in most areas, you'll find smaller geographies like ZICTAs and tracts within school district boundaries. And again, depending on the region, these smaller geographies may nest neatly within school districts, or simply they may not. However, school districts are not defined by population, so this may not always be the case. We'll explore this further during our live demonstration later in this webinar. We will transition from helping Angela and Frank in data.census.gov to the small area income and poverty estimates program or via their interactive tool. The main objective of the SAPI program is to provide estimates of income and poverty for the administration of federal programs and the allocation of federal funds to local jurisdictions. These data are available by school district, state, and county. SAPI differs from other census surveys or counts in that results are not direct counts from enumerations or administrative records solely, nor direct estimates from sample surveys. Instead, for counties and states, we model income and poverty estimates by combining survey data with population estimates and administrative records. For school districts, we use the same model-based county estimates and inputs from federal tax information and multi-year survey data to produce estimates of poverty. In essence, SAPI provides a measure of poverty utilizing a combination of collection methods. We provide the following data for over 13,000 school districts. That includes total population, number of children ages 5 to 17, number of related children ages 5 to 17, and families experiencing poverty. This will be an important tool to introduce our client Frank to, since federal funds supporting Title I grants under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act are determined by these estimates. Now we're going to move on to our tools and resources. As aforementioned, if you'd like to follow along, you can go ahead and open your browser to census.gov. The preferred browser is Chrome, but please feel free to use what works best for you. There are various tools to access our census data, specifically ACS. For today, I'll be taking you through two of them, and that'll be the SAPI Interactive tool and data.census.gov. My colleague and I will be taking you through both of these. Access data.census.gov through tools and apps, or just type data.census.gov on your browser. Data.census.gov is the U.S. Census Bureau's primary tool for accessing population, housing, and economic data for the American Community Survey. Using data.census.gov, you can either do a single search or an advanced search option. Now, for the single search, this allows you to type in keywords, which could be a topic, a specific place or year, etc. Or it could also be a combination of keywords. For the advanced search, you have the ability to filter your options so your search is more precise. The advanced search allows you to filter based on codes, geographies, surveys, topics, and years. Now, for our first scenario, Angela is a consultant advising a career counseling center seeking to enhance opportunities for minority populations. She wants to explore the relationship between sex and educational attainment for Black and white individuals. So how are we going to break that down initially? For this particular demo, we're going to look into how ACS data reflects educational attainment of Black and white populations by sex. Are there any notable disparities, and how might these findings inform career counseling strategies? So just for your edification, we're going to go to advanced search. We want to make sure we have 4 filters, which should be educational attainment, Black or African American alone, white alone, age, and sex. So if you're following along, it doesn't matter necessarily the order of these filters, but make sure you have these 4. Okay, and we're also going to be looking at the 2 tables, table S0201, which is selected population profile in the US, and we're also going to be looking at table B15002, which is sex by educational attainment for populations 25 and over. And we'll also be at the default level of geography, which is the United States, and we're going to have the 2 topics, which will be educational attainment, age, and sex. All right, now we're on the United States Census Bureau's homepage. I'm going to show you quickly how to access data.census.gov. You can go to Data and Maps, go to Data Tools and Apps. And for this application, it is on the first page of 2. So we'll scroll down quickly. And we're going to stop here and explore census data. It is one of the few tools that's actually where the hyperlink is not actually the name of the tool, but you can see here, data.census.gov. So we'll go ahead and open up this link, which should take us to the data.census.gov landing page. And as aforementioned, for this scenario, we're going to do an advanced search. Wait for everything to load. I typically start with geography, but because we're starting at the national level, we don't have to enter it. It'll automatically default to the United States. So we can go ahead and work on our topics. So we're going to start with race and ethnicity. We'll do Black or African American, Black or African American alone. Make sure your filters populate. We can go right back. We don't have to jump all the way out. Select white, and we're going to go to white alone, make sure that populates. Now we have 2 of our 4 filters. And then we're going to go to education, which should populate educational attainment. Now we have 3 of our 4 filters, and then we just need to find our last filter, age and sex, which should be under topics here, populations and people. And at the very first box would be age and sex. All right, so make sure these 4 filters align with yours. And once you have that populated, we can go ahead and hit the search option. And right at the top is table S0201, which is the first table we're going to look at. You can either open up the table here, or you can select this plus sign to quickly get to the vintage that you want to look at. And we're going to look at the ACS 1 year 2022. Once that populates, we're just going to go ahead and collapse the chevron so we have a better look at this table. To also make this easier to look at, if you look up in the ribbon, you have all your options for utilizing this particular table. I'm going to remove the margin of error so that further collapses the table. And just make sure our information is correct. We're at the United States level, geography level. We have our ethnicities, white alone, Black or African American alone, right? And we know we're interested in educational attainment, so we're just going to go ahead and scroll down. Okay, and right around here, we start to see school enrollment, and moving down further, we see educational attainment. And we see educational attainment for white alone, Black or African American alone. And this particular table is giving us percentages. And we just want to see if there's any correlations, if there's any disparities. As you can see, we're not necessarily comparing white to Black, but we just want to see what's what. So when we start here at the high school level, we start to see 25.9% here, slight uptick in some college, and we see that same correlation for Black or African American alone. And so as we look at educational attainment for both white and Black alone, or African American groups, we see that both are relatively close regardless of sex at the high school level. There's not much to differentiate male or female, or even by race. However, as we look further into the educational attainment segment, we start to see separation at the bachelor's degree or higher range. So as we move down, we start to see that here. We see bachelor's, 38, we see for male, white only, and we see almost 40% for female, white only. And as we move to the Black or African American alone, we start to see further separation between Black males and Black females. So again, most notably in the percentages of whites pursuing higher education, regardless of sex, versus that of Black or African American alone groups. So that being said, there is a correlation with regard to the female demographics. Taking a closer look, we see that starting at the high school level, they have a higher percentage of graduates, even at the educational level, regardless of race. So now that we have just a high-level overview of where the disparities may exist, where the differences are, high school, bachelor's, now we just want to see if this trend continues. We're going to take a look at a different table. The second table that I noted, we're just going to go back here to results. And that second table that we wanted to take a look at was B15002. And based on our filters and search criteria, that populated for us. So we can just go ahead and I'm going to hit the plus sign here. And this time we're going to look at a 5-year vintage, the 2021 ACS 5-year estimates. And we don't have to hit the margin of error again. It automatically kept our selection there. So we're just going to scroll down. As you can see, this now breaks it up between male and female, white alone, male and female, Black or African American alone. So we just want to see what those trends look like as we move into the higher education or post-high school, right? So this table further provides a breakdown of educational attainment, starting with no school completed up to doctorate levels of education. So we want to be careful not to compare the two groups numerically. We want to see if the educational trend continues. So for females in both groups, we see after high school, the numbers drop significantly, even with an even further decline at the master's level. Males for both groups also fall behind women of both groups who have obtained a bachelor's degree or higher. So you can see that here. So you can see bachelor's degree for white alone versus for females is just at almost 18 million. You can jump up to bachelor's degree for males. You can see it's significantly lower. And we can also look at that same correlation in the Black demographic, Black African American demographic. We scroll down here to a bachelor's degree. For females, we can see it's just over 2 million. And if you jump up to males, it's well under 2 million. So now Angela has a broader picture of what the educational landscape looks like on a national level. So efforts can be focused on a male demographic, looking towards higher education, regardless of race, or you can look to increase the overall attainment of Black or African American alone demographics. All right. Now, this is where I'm going to go ahead and pass it to my counterpart, Amy. She's going to take over and take us through the rest of the webinar.
Amy, you're on mute.
So sorry about that. So Angela is also trying to now identify the 3 states most in need for an academic intervention program, but she's not sure what sources to use. And her follow-up question, like many research questions, contains multiple variables that have to be considered when collecting data from data.census.gov. So we've got to now identify the variables that she has to prioritize or has prioritized as risk factors for this academic intervention program. So are they going to be educational attainment, race, sex, age, or a combination of these factors? We can help her find these data within many, many different base and subject tables in data.census.gov. But it's important to remember that when we're selecting topics, like we saw Meredith do in data.census.gov, when we're in that search tool, that too many topics are going to limit our results. So while we might want to begin with a limited search, it might be smart to go ahead then and backtrack to expand the breadth of your results after the fact. So I'm going to transition here to data.census.gov. And we're going to go back to table B15002 because I want to show you what I mean, but we're going to now look at this a different way. We're going to search for it a little different way. So I went ahead and I populated my filters. I did some of this work in advance for the sake of time. And I want to show you what exactly I did. So we can see from my shopping basket up here, as I like to call it, in this case for geography, my cursor is not showing for some reason. For geography, we did all states within the United States. So in geography here, the searches or the options, these are our most common searches. So let's open them up. So we're going to go to state and select all states within the United States because she wants those top 3. So you can see that when I selected it, populated up here. Then educational attainment, as we saw Meredith choose before, age and sex. But when we go to race and ethnicity here, I chose race and ethnicity in general, instead of going right to Black or African American alone or white alone. So I just chose race and ethnicity. So again, we can see these filters here. This gave me, and again, apologies, I don't know where my little cursor has gone. So I'm just trying to go based on feel here. So this gave me B15002, like we had with Meredith previously. Oh, it arrived and then it disappeared again. But it gave us a couple different options. So we had B15002A, B15002B, B15002, multiple different options for our B15002 tables. A being white alone, B being Black or African American alone. So we're going to take a look here first at A, white alone. Here you can see it. And we're also going to map these. Now there are a few different ways to map. One is, as you can see here, you have table at the top and you also have map. You can choose map, which automatically will bring up your maps. When you select your table, maybe. Or if you stick with table, which is how I generally recommend doing it, and I will tell you why. If we stay with map or stay with table, it allows us to see all of the variable options. It allows us to see all of the variable options in this first column. So this is important for us because when we choose map in the, again, I apologize, the cursor seems to have disappeared. So again, I'm trying to do this on feel. And work. So I am unable to get over to my tools to find the maps. Here in tools, I select map. Well, here's what we're going to do. Here in tools, when I select map, it should give me the map for B15002A white alone. I am going to select, I want the variable for 9th to 12th grade, no diploma. So when I look at my drop down here, I'm going to select 9th to 12th grade, no diploma. Now this is giving me 9th to 12th grade, no diploma for males alone. And we should be able to click this caret to get rid of our results and only see the map. My apologies. As this is not cooperating with me. So 9th to 12th grade, no diploma, as we can see from our map here and the key at the bottom, there are 3 options. California, Texas, and Florida are showing in the dark blue. So those are the 3 states that have the highest numbers. Again, this is number, not percentage, of white males grade 9 to 12 with no diploma. So this map feature is nice in that if we hover over our map and we click on any one state, it gives us data as well. So you can see the estimated number of males in California who've completed grades 9 through 12, but do not have a diploma also. So these are our males grades 9 through 12, no diploma. If we want to take a look at females grade 9 through 12, no diploma, that's an option for us as well as we look at this caret, or we look at the drop-down variables. Females grades 9 through 12, no diploma, we have the same results, Texas, Florida, and California. So there's one option for Angela to look at for her 3 states that she might want to explore. However, we know that she was looking at white and Black populations. So if we go back here, we can look at B15002B, Black or African American alone. So based on this map now, B15002B, Black or African American alone, we have other options, or we're getting different results. Now we can see there are 4 states, Texas, Georgia, Florida, and New York, for Black males, grades 9 through 12 with no diploma. So now we've got a different result. So let's take a look up at our variables. If we drop this down, we can also take a look again at females, grade 9 through 12, no diploma. And as this works to transition and populate the map to give us a different key, what you're going to find is that we're going to get the same results. Now we've got Florida, Georgia, and New York, with the Texas not far behind. What I really would like to do here, aha, it worked, great. Okay, so what I would really like to do here is show you how we can manipulate these maps to show you some different tools. Okay, so if we go back here to our males grade 9 through 12 without a diploma, we can see that we have these 4 states. She wanted 3. She wants her top 3 states that are at highest risk and need interventions. So we have 4. There are a few ways that she can determine this. Again, we can click on the states and you can see she can just determine this based on number. Texas, the number here is 76,970. Georgia, Florida, and she can get those data. But we can also play around with these maps and manipulate these data a little bit. We can do that using the tools here in the menu bar. So if we look at classes, you can see that we can manipulate the number of classes in our map all the way up to 7. Or you can use these tools here and have a natural break, a quantile break, in equal intervals, or we can manipulate it manually, which is what we want to do. What I would like to do are take these bars and I want to drag them over so that I can see only the top 3 states in this dark blue as opposed to the top 4. So if I drag this over, you can see now I only have the top 3 states that are dark blue as opposed to the top 4. Now, if you are colorblind, or let's say that you are going to do a presentation and you want this to be a little bit more colorful, we can come up here to colors and we can manipulate the colors on this map as well. So we can make it far more colorful if you want to do that also. So now we can see that, well, we've changed these colors, so we want the dark green ones now. So now we can see our top 3 states that are highest at risk for males age 25 and over are Florida, Georgia, and New York, which are different than for white males, which was Florida, Texas, and California. So what does this mean for Angela? Well, as I had said before, if we want to go back and change our filters, if we want to remove, let's say we're going to remove race and ethnicity. If we were to remove race and ethnicity from this, we would receive a completely different search options. We would be able to get a table that would give us the overall population and all of the information we need on educational attainment for the entire country based on state. Let's see if I can maybe remove it a different way since I can't seem to use my cursor. Race and ethnicity. Can I remove it from here? No. Okay. What if we open a new one and my cursor is still, okay, so let's try this one now. We want to find table S1501. So educational attainment. Educational attainment is what I would like to show you for all of the states in the United States. The table for educational attainment I'm going to switch here so that I can show you what this is going to look like for you. Census is not working for me. So this slide here, educational attainment, you can see gives us the total information or the total data for educational attainment for the United States. And it's going to give us these data for each state. Now, it will also still give us the data based on race. Even though we didn't put the race and ethnicity tab in our topics, we still have that here. And we can then take a look at this based on in our map as well, which is nice. The difference between S15001 and B15002 is that S15001 is going to give us these data in estimates as well as in percents. So you have to be careful when you're comparing these data, because if we're looking at based on estimates, we are going to get for Angela, California, Texas, and Florida as our result. However, if we were to give her these data based on percents, we are going to get these data here, Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. So the data are going to be different based on percent or based on estimate. Therefore, Angela, while we can lead her to the tables and maps with the data requested, she's going to need to further limit the parameters she's using to delineate and determine program implementation. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to show you how this works, but if you were to take a look at the caret at the top where we were manipulating our variables for our map, for this particular table, S1501, at the bottom, when you choose your variable, at the bottom, it asks you if you want to look at it based on estimate or based on percent. So for this one, I chose percent. For this one, I chose estimate. And again, you'll see that there's a difference in the color of these two maps. And I had showed you how you could go up and change the color in classes in order to do that. Apologies for the technical difficulties. So with the second person that we're helping here is Frank. Frank is a district data specialist with the Florida Department of Education. Federal Title I grant applications are due this spring, and he's working on collecting those required data. His request requires us to search for data by school district as a geography and data.census.gov. We're also going to explore SAPI data tool to determine poverty for families within with school-age children. Now, Frank's request can lead us to a number of tables depending on how we delineate the variables that he's outlined. So here's some of the subject-based and data profile tables you'd find when searching for data by school district. There are many, many more. Now I want to show you SAPI, that tool, which does reflect poverty data. But I'd also like to start, hopefully, with data.census.gov to show you poverty data there, because there's such a wide variety of data available in this tool for poverty. And I want to show you how you can find school district geography here. Sadly, again, this is not working for me, so let's go back. So if you will give me a second, I did create screenshots of all of this for you, so that if this didn't work, I could show it to you another way. So I'm going to go ahead and unhide these. We're going to just look at it a whole different. Okay, so when we get into data.census.gov, and we want to look at school district. On the left side where you see geography, those top ones here, all this here these are the geographies that we're most likely going to search, but those are not our only options. If we come down here to all geographies, we're given a whole bunch of other options. One of them being school district. And you can see here there are 3 different school district options: unified, secondary, and elementary. The unified school district option, those are all of the schools that are K through 12. Secondary would just be 7 through 12, and elementary is K through 6. We're going to choose unified school district here. Then when we go into topics, and when we get into unified school district, it's then going to ask us what state we want our school districts in, and then what school districts. Now, Frank said he wanted these very specific school districts. So we chose Florida, and then we chose those 5 school districts. We then go into our topic. We wanted income and poverty. And so then we are going to then go into table 1701 for poverty. And this is what that's going to look like. So this table is going to give us a wide variety of information about poverty. You're going to find information for each school district based on age, sex, race, educational attainment, employment status, and work experience. And this table can also be mapped, showing you doing it the same ways that I showed you before, either using the mapping option at the top of the results or the mapping option at the top, of the table. So when we map this, we find Florida, and it automatically highlights for us the school districts. So what I did was I chose the variable of Black or African American alone for these school districts. Now, Florida is one of those states where the school districts nest nicely within each county, and you can see that from the map. One of the really nice things about this mapping option is that if you also wanted to add a school district, if we're looking at this and said, well, geez, I really wonder what some of the surrounding school districts would look like here, you can do that. You can say, well, I want to click on this school district here. The school district would pop up. You can see the select option there. If we click on that select option, that school district then becomes part of our search tool. It automatically gets added to the table we created before. The map automatically changes, the key changes, and the colors will automatically change as well in our map. So now we've added a 6th school district to our table and to our map. So you can see that automatically change in our mapping tool, which is a really nice feature in data.census.gov for maps. The other nice thing here is that if we select view profile, as you can see down there under Dade County School, that just circled view profile. If we select that, it will automatically take us to a narrative profile based on school district. Now, when you get here into these narrative profiles based on school district, you're able to see all of this different information. You'll find demographic and other required data for most grant applications. It also links you back to data tables within data.census.gov. if you find data you're more interested in, and it includes data visualizations, which are really nice for presentations. Now, to take you to the SAPI tool to find out more information about poverty, specifically poverty-related information for Title I grants, we're going to go back to census.gov, look at surveys and programs from our options on the top. As you can see, that's highlighted there. It will take us to the Small Area Income and Poverty Estimate Program page. In this page, you'll find details on the tool and programs of interest and the program if you're interested in learning more. But we will then go directly to the Income and Poverty Interactive Data tool. This is what the tool looks like. It is extremely intuitive. It is very, very easy to use. If you can see here on the top left, there's a filter by option, one of them being school district. You can also use county or state. We want school district to help Frank. We wanted to look at those top 5 Florida school districts, those largest school districts that he was interested in. These are all the other options you have if you wanted to search based on these different age groups. When we search for poverty information using SAPI, we get the information using maps, using the map. We get the information using this chart. And then there's also a data table that will be at the bottom that will look like this. So you can see it automatically populated the Florida state map. And you'll see it's highlighted here, surrounded with red, those 5 school districts that we selected. And that it automatically populated in this graph with those 5 school districts as well over here. There's a gap here, you'll notice, between 2004 and 2005. That gap represents the switch from the current population survey to the American Community Survey. At the top of both the map and the chart, you'll see, just like you see here at the table, these 2 features. This option here allows you to expand so you can see just the map or just the chart, or here just the table. This allows you to download the map, the chart, and or the table as a PDF or as a GIF. At the table down here, you can download and save as an Excel file. And then when you come down here and look at this table, see this reference map feature, clicking this takes you back to the map feature for data.census.gov and the narrative profile. Now, what's really great about this feature is that these SAPI data and SAPI data tool, these are the data that the United States Department of Education uses for Title I data funding, for Title I grant funding. So really great feature for Frank, for him trying to complete his Title I applications. Those applications require far more data than just this, but this is going to save him a ton of time. So apologies for that technical difficulty. Hopefully these screenshots helped you at least get some more information on what that should look like and how easy this really is to use. Data.census.gov contains over 2.5 million tables of data. Today, we focused on data relative to race, age, sex, education, and poverty. We touched on a few other topics to show you just the broad range of variables you can explore through our data portals. And we tried to open SAPI, but showed you some screenshots of it as an example of one of the many content-specific data tools that we have. Each of these tools allows users to search for variables based on a variety of geographic levels, including school districts, not just counties, tracts, and states. And you can view, share, and save the data in many, many different formats. As data dissemination specialists, our job is to inform, educate, and train you on the data tools and resources available through the Census Bureau. Census.gov houses a wealth of resources, including Census Academy. Here you'll find short 2 to 5 minute how-to videos called Data Gems, past recorded webinars, and courses on a variety of topics which allow you to learn at your own pace. You can view all these resources at census.gov/academy. You can also use the QR code in this slide to subscribe to the Census Academy for updated information and course offerings. Of course, we also offer in-person and virtual trainings for your organization. They will almost always go better than the one that I just tried to provide for you. But these allow for more interaction and are personalized for your organization's unique data needs. All of our presentations, workshops, and trainings are offered to you at no cost. If you'd like more information on individualized training or need assistance with your data searches, please reach out to either Meredith or me at any time. Our information is here on the screen and will be made available to you when these resources are shared after this webinar. Stacy, I'll throw it back to you.
Great, thank you. I was just going to check in with our moderators to see if there are any questions that we would like to share. Otherwise, I think they've answered everything, but otherwise I can go ahead and close this out. So Kim, Mac, or Tony, are there any questions? No? Okay. With that, thank you so much to Amy and Meredith. This was a fabulous presentation. As always, it was really great today. Thank you. So before we conclude, I'd like to thank everyone who played a role in today's webinar. We thank you, our audience, for spending time with us this afternoon. Please take a moment to fill out the evaluation by following the link provided in the chat. Look out for the recording, presentation, and related materials from this webinar on the Census Academy by visiting census.gov/academy within 30 business days. Please check out the Census Academy for additional training resources and to register for upcoming webinars. That brings us to a close. We thank you again for joining us today and hope you have a great afternoon.
That concludes today's session. You may disconnect at this time. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
All right, thanks everyone for joining. I'm gonna see if we can try to get somebody on the platform here on Email the Mass Media Group so we can go over more granular data and ask questions, etc. All right, family, that's it. Once again, this was live coverage of the U.S. Census, the exploration of income, poverty, and educational census data for Black and white populations. There should be some links in the chat, so if you want to test out the website and all the data points, you can do that yourself. If we have time, we're going to do it on our own as well. But regardless, we should go through some of that data information, see how much data disaggregation and comparative information that we can look at. All right, everyone, you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you, I believe this Sunday, we're going to actually have a Road to Reparation show at 10 a.m. Last one was part 14, I think part 15, and I think this might be our last one regarding the assembly, I want to say. I think, I don't know, maybe. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful one. And I guess on that note, ladies and gentlemen, peace and reparations.
SB 490, introduced by Senator Stephen Bradford, is the first legislation that will create the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency.
The CAFA agency is a recommendation from the California Reparations Task Force final report.
Possible offices within the agency could include genealogy, strategic communications, data research collection,
as well as general counsel with social services and family affairs.
Tell your representative to support the upcoming 2024 reparations legislation.
Find them at findyourrep.legislature.ca.gov.